Hello YouTube friends, it's Randy here with We Crafty Creations, and I wanted to make a short video that falls under my photography section, but it also, is a common issue that people are having with their photos, so it's kind of a good general one to point out to everybody right now because I've just been noticing a lot of folks have been having questions about it on the different groups that are on Facebook and stuff about it. So what I want to talk about is sizing your photos for your listings. There's different size recommendations for all the different types of photos in Goimagine. There's sizing recommendations for your banner and for your logo and things like that. But the listing photos are probably most important because you're going to have multiple listings and you're going to need to hopefully get the photos the right size and the right dimensions and everything. So if you go to help.goimagine.com, you end up on this screen right here, and you could search multiple things to find what you need, or if you scroll down and you see this section called products, and then right in the middle of this section you see uploading photos / images to products, and you click on here. It does let you know right towards the top here that the supported formats are JPEG, GIF, and PNG. If you have something that turns out in a different format than one of those three, it's not going to work. One thing I know is that iPhone photos sometimes take in an HEIC, I believe it's called. I don't have an iPhone, but I know that this has caused issues for folks in the past, and I have run into this issue in other applications outside of selling handmade items online that it's come across. So you need to check into that if all of your photos are turning out to be HEIC. There's some type of setting within your iPhone that you're going to need to look into to fix that. Basically what an HEIC photo is, from my understanding, is it's a very short video clip. Basically it's taking multiple photos in a row, and so it's creating a very short video clip instead of an actual still photo. I could be wrong about that. Like I said, I don't have an iPhone, but it's just an issue that's come up a lot. So just wanted to point that out. It gives you a lot of good detail here. I'm not going to read through this entire thing, but it kind of lets you know some of the ways that you can manipulate your photos, crop them, things like that. And then it has product size recommendation. We recommend product images to be at least 1000 by 800 pixels with a 5:4 ratio. The 5:4 ratio that I use, and I've started to use with all my new listings, is 2500 by 2000. And that is the same ratio, and it generally produces, depending on the software that you use and stuff, it generally produces an image that is less than 5 megabytes, because they want it to be less than 5 megabytes. If you do a 1000 by 800, it's pretty much guaranteed to be small enough, although it's not going to be as good of an image quality if you do 1000 by 800. That is a fairly low quality image, and it's probably going to be like 1 megabyte basically. So something to keep in mind. And then they have troubleshooting here. If your item is too big, you can use this website to try to shrink it to a smaller one. Keep in mind, if your photo is too big, if it's like 10 megabytes or something, I'm pretty sure that this tiny PNG, it won't shrink it for you. It has to be like less than 7 for it to shrink it down or compress it or whatever you want to call it. So something to keep in mind here, but that's just basically how that works. Now for me, I use Snapseed quite a bit, and so I wanted to show how I use Snapseed. So if I go and open photo, it's going to pull up all these different photos on my phone, and some of them are not related to my handmade items, but let's pick something that is. And then when you're in Snapseed, I just clicked open and then gallery and found this photo within my phone's gallery. This is on an Android Samsung phone. And then I go to tools. There is a crop up here in the top right hand corner, and then there are options here for the way in which you want to crop it, and there's a 5:4 option right here. So that basically gets you to the size that Goimagine prefers. Now if you already have photos and listings up on Goimagine and the photos are not giving you any trouble, I don't recommend going through and spending a bunch of time changing the photos. I have tons of square photos that are you know, the same height as they are width. And I have had no problems with them really so far. So I'm not going to go through and change something that's not broken when there's a lot of other things that I could be spending time on. So I can change this to 5x4. It already is, because I've already altered this one, so it's not really a very good example. I would have to find something older to, maybe somewhere really old in my camera. Here, maybe this isn't cropped. Yeah, see, so if you can tell that this photo is either taller than it is wide, or maybe it's a perfect square. Go to crop. If I go to square, yeah, it's a perfect square right now. So if I wanted to crop it properly, then I would need to do the 5x4. And the best thing to do is, while you're taking the photo, is to already have it a square or this orientation. If you take a photo and you do it the super long way, where it takes up your entire screen and it's super tall and long, then it's going to be hard for you to crop it and keep the whole product within the photo. This makes me a little bit uncomfortable, because it is keeping, you know, right along the edges of the top and bottom of this particular item, because this item is longer than it is wide, you know, by a lot. Another thing that I can do is, let me crop that first, is I can go Tools, Expand, and I can make this bigger in all directions to start, and I can do that with a white border, a black border, or what they call a smart border. The smart border doesn't work perfectly, so it's supposed to be trying to just replicate the background, you know, for me around it. Unfortunately, you can kind of see when you do that the glitches that it makes. You can try to fix this up a little bit, and it might work. If I go to Tools, I can go to Healing. Just do that again, because it's kind of hard to see. It's right below Rotate here on the far left side, Healing, and then I'm pinching and scrolling in here. I would want to get closer, and I could try to heal these issues. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. As you can see, it does not want to get a little bit better. So you can improve the situation a little bit, like, you know, like that sometimes, but there's only so much that you can do. It's still going to have all these kind of glitchy looking things all along the sides. I just accidentally ran my... Yeah, sometimes the more you try to fix it, the worse it gets, you know. So that's completely up to you. I'm hitting the back button several times because, honestly, I think for this, it won't let me hit back button any more than that. Wait, I can hit, yeah. So I might have to start over again with this one, because I kind of messed it up and it's hard to fix it, basically. So you can just kind of start over again with these, and I just go open, and it warns me I'm going to lose my changes. Just hit open, and then I could go back into that same photo if I can find it. There's lots of other photos in here of things, so let me go here, camera, that's where it was in the camera down here. Click on it again and start completely over again. So yeah, that's basically how you resize. There's lots of things that Snapseed can do. You can do some color correction. Sometimes when there is a really small issue, like let's say there was just this little like cat hair on here or something and it was really bothering me, you can do this Tools, Healing, and if you do something really small, like look at this speck right here. If I wanted to get rid of this, it doesn't look perfect, but when you scroll back out again, you know, that might look better to you than the speck looked, depending on how bad the error is. Just be careful if there's an error on your product. You don't want to fix it and make your product look like a different product. So you just got to be careful with all that kind of stuff. But anyways, this is how you can basically size things. And then once you're done and you've got your image the way you want it, you're going to hit the bottom right hand corner check mark here, and then export, and then save, and then that's saved somewhere into my gallery. So in my phone, In this Android phone, I have this gallery here, and I have all these separate folders because I have a lot of things going on. But in any of these folders, anywhere that I view one of my pictures, if I'm going to view one of my photos here, and I want to know what size is this, what dimensions is it, everything, for me, there's 3 dots at the bottom right-hand corner. I click that, and then I click details, and then it pulls up the details, and so it tells me when I took the photo and stuff like that, or when I edited it. But then below that, where it has my Samsung model number, for some reason it'll show here. It won't let me close up on this, but this photo size is 1.74 megabytes, and the dimensions of it, the pixels, is 3024 by 4032. So that's bigger than my usual, and I'd have to get a calculator out to see if that is the dimensions that they want it to be, because, yeah, I can't tell by just guessing, but I could potentially from here hit edit. No, that just edits like the name of the photo and stuff. Never mind. So then basically, if I didn't like the dimensions that this was and the size that this was, then I would go into Snapseed and I would hit open, and I would find this photo when I'm searching, and then I would edit this photo and make it the right size that I want it to be. And that would help quite a bit. There's other programs that you can use. I use Canva quite often, and Canva does the same thing, but even in more detail for you. So I have a Canva Pro account. I'm not sure if you can do this with a regular Canva account, but when I go to download the photo, I've got multiple photos in one thing here. I choose that I want it to download as a PNG. You can see right here it says size, and this says 25 by 2000, so I can get that exactly the size that I want in Canva. But Canva's a little bit more it's a little less user-friendly for a new person who doesn't use applications like this often. So if you are kind of new and beginning, I do recommend Snapseed over Canva for getting your photos the right size and those types of things. The other thing that I wanted to share, if I can, figure out how I can share it, maybe just this way, is on the computer. If you are trying to find out the details of your photos on the computer, generally speaking, you can just hover over it and it tells it for me right there, or I can right click it, and then I'm going to go to properties, the very bottom, and then it's going to tell me here too. This actually doesn't show me the size, does it? It's 2.55 megabytes. It shows me the size, but it doesn't show me the dimensions. Oh, probably details. Yep, under details, image dimensions, 3024 by 3024 pixels. So it tells me that right there. So I could then go to Snapseed and edit this to make it not a perfect square and to make it those sizes that I want it to be. And I could tell by the general here that the size of it is 2.55 megabytes, and Goimagine wants it to be less than 5 megabytes. So I am safe there as far as knowing that that is going to not be too large. And it says I did at some point edit this on Snapseed, so it knows that on here. So it's pretty smart. It has a lot of information for you. A lot of this is really high tech. I don't really know what all of that means, but yeah, that's basically how to try to, get these things to the right size that you want them to be. You just click open, and then you just have to find them, and how you find them is going to be different depending on what type of phone you have, how you have your files organized. You might not have them organized at all, so you might just literally be scrolling through recent to find the photos. I made all these separate folders in mine, and so that's how I do it. And so I can go in and edit and crop and do all of that in Snapseed, and then once I get it to the size that I want, just export, save, and then it just saved it in there in that right size, and then I can just go back into my gallery could find that photo that I just saved, and then when I go and look at the details, it will tell me. And this is not the same that I said. I said I was using 2500 by 2000, and this one ended up being 2917 by 2333, but it is still only less than 2 megabytes, so it is not too big. I find that when I edit things with Canva, for whatever reason, it's a higher quality program or something, it ends up being a larger file size. And a lot of times, depending on what I'm doing, I will end up over that file size that we're allowed to have of 5 megabytes. But Snapseed never ends up doing that for me, which is a good thing if you're new and you're just starting out. And honestly, depending on your product and how expensive it is, you don't necessarily have to have the highest quality photo. As long as it's clear, as long as the light is good, and as long as it's really obvious what the item is, what the texture is, all of those things, that's what's really important. It doesn't have to be, some super professional looking photo. If you're selling something like I am, that's magnets, that a lot of them are less than like $10, it's pretty simple and not needed. Now, if you're selling diamond engagement rings, it might be more important for you to learn Canva and to get your photos looking top notch. So I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover on this one. It's kind of a lot of detail here, but I just noticed a lot of folks are having trouble. They don't know how to tell what size. They don't know how to tell, the dimensions that they're doing. When you're in and you're going to take a photo, you generally have options, and you can see at the top here, mine says 1. It's telling me to clean my lens. It always says that. My lens is always dirty. And you see these other options for dimensions here. If you do full, then it's trying to take a photo that's super long, super tall. You don't want that for your Goimagine photos, for your product photos. It's generally best to go 1 by 1, or you can go like 3 by 4, and it might give you an option to do the 4 by 5, but then you can turn it sideways, and then this way you're a little bit closer to the size that you need of your photo, basically, when you turn it sideways like that. Mine doesn't have an option to choose anything that I want. There may be some newer phones out there that let you choose the exact dimensions that you want, so that's something to look into, but I'm not aware of. Anyhow, that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover on this